Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to Underman's Life. My name is Ali. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're keeping well. So the alternative brick building company FunWhole launched a new theme last year, the Street Fusion theme, and they kicked it off with this amazing modular building, the Skate Shop. It's actually one of my favorite sets of last year. It totally oozed that hip-hop 90s hipster vibe that worked perfectly for my city. I did a review on the channel. Do check it out. You'll probably see a link here somewhere. However, now it's time to place that building in the city itself. But before we do that, we have to make it compatible. And one of the things I mentioned in the review is that that set, although awesome in its nature, begged to have another story added to it. And that's exactly what we did. So let's check it out. Before adding another floor, the first thing we had to do was to make this set city compatible. The set itself is placed on a plate as opposed to a base plate. In addition, it was actually 26 studs wide as opposed to 32 studs wide, where the city is in modules of 16. So in our city, we utilize the MIL system, or the Modular Integrated Landscape System. And that was fairly easy to adopt with this set. We just built up a half-built mills plate and placed the building on top. Now, the location of where we placed it on the mills plate, either to the left-hand side or the right-hand side or bang in the center, we actually put it so that the building was sitting on the right-hand side, so there's space of the 6 studs left on the left-hand side. I preferred that more because it gave some breathing space to have space on either side of the building. So what are we actually going to do with the additional 6 studs that we had? I didn't really want to put another building in there, as that would have defeated the object of having some breathing space with this actual set. So coincidentally, I actually built a skate park corner build a few years back, and it's not in the city currently. And I thought this would be absolutely perfect. I mean, there's even a sign on this set that says skate park, and all we have is that railing, so this would be absolutely ideal. This corner build also did have some graffiti, and I know it's a bit tongue-in-cheek to have the graffiti designed called Lego on a FunWhole set, but come on, harmonization, right? So adding all the little tiles and the finishing touches, I think this scene now is perfect for little scenes and stories to complement this kind of hip skate shop, skate park kind of area in the city. So for the additional floor, I was thinking a lot what to have in that floor. My first kind of thoughts were maybe a video game arcade floor with arcade cabinets, pool table, whatever. Maybe even a comic book store, because I've got loads of these comic book printed tiles. But I decided against that. One, it's above a living space, and I think those kind of two venues need their own signage and ambience and own building to give it a fully respect, if I'm perfectly honest. And then I was looking at my display shelves, and it hit me. Exactly. The Bro Thor's apartment diorama set from Lego would be absolutely ideal now to put into the city. This set was released all the way back in 2021. I'm a big fan of the MCU, and it enjoyed its time on my display shelf, and I've always wanted to have it into the city, but I couldn't quite find the right building to place this in. On top of that, the dimensions were perfect. That allowed me to place every single interior detail into the building and the floor apartment space that we had available, which was absolutely sweet. For the exterior, to keep the same look, I kind of emulated the existing designs, you know, with the textures and the black windows. A few little additional details, only because I didn't have those parts in my collection, but I think it worked quite well. And similarly on the back, I didn't put in the swing door, mostly because I didn't have the parts, so I just kind of replicated what we had on the front. with a bit more distressed look with some grey bricks. And the reason for the grey bricks was on either side, I wanted to add in some more graffiti. And I had these lovely printed parts from a company here in the UK called Brixie. And I got these again a few years back, and they were in another building, but I since dismantled it. And I thought these would be absolutely ideal to have in this kind of street fusion themed building next to the record store and whatever FunWhole decide to come out in the future. The only problem was they were grey originally, and I have to keep the greys, I can't change the color, but I try to fade this into the color of this existing building to pretend like it was the original color of the building. And for the most part, I think it kind of works. And they are on the side, so I think we can get away with it to that end as well. Now, with that additional floor in there, with that Lego graffiti, the skate park, this building looks far more complete in my view compared to the original feature. It's such an amazing difference what an additional floor can do to a set. I mean, they had the same thing with the police story. As soon as you add in another floor, it elevates it, pun intended. Now, the biggest challenge was the lighting. It would have been a shame if I didn't light up Thor's apartment as everything else was lit up. But in order to even light up the original floor, it was kind of tricky. This was my first time messing around with light kits on a DIY basis, so my simple brain took longer than most people to figure out how to do this. One of the biggest challenges was the continuation of power from each of the wireless connectors. The way FunWhole have created their string of lights is that they'd be able to daisy chain the wireless connector and keep the power going up. Now with my wireless connectors, because I don't have additional lights associated with them, it was very hard to keep that continuation of power. So the first thing that I had to do was to do some rewiring. Whatever was on the original roof of the original set, I had to rewire and place that and replicate that underneath Thor's apartment. And what that meant was then I had to create another power line to illuminate Thor's apartment. There was one benefit though, and I felt quite unlucky, was the light kit that we had to light up the existing living space. I utilized that spare light to be able to light the fireplace in Thor's apartment, and I think that looks really, really cool. The only problem that we have now, because we had to get the power from one of the spare sockets in the expansion port, you do see an exposed wire coming all the way from the ground all the way up to Thor's apartment. And it had to be loose because if I want to take off Thor's apartment, I still wanted to have enough loose wire to be able to place that module on the ground of the table so it doesn't hang in the air, shall we say. But the wire is on the back of the building, so it's kind of hidden away anyway. I'm not too bothered. I did lose one of the lights that we had on the actual roof of the original on the satellite dish, and that can be easily added on. I just need to get a bigger expansion port instead of the single expansion port that I had. Once I get that, I can put in another light in there and that'll be fine, not a problem. So all in all, I do wish that FunWhole did sell their kind of lights. Kits they've already pre-wired them, because I think they will be fantastic for mock building and enhancing their existing sets. But I can understand why it's a difficult product to sell, and I don't think there'll be that many buyers. So now the set is fully lit up, and look at that, you can even see Thor in through the window now. It looks awesome. So now placing this in the city, I've put this into kind of my downtown area at the moment, placing it next to the record store. Now it's a similar height. That looks amazing next to it now. I think now them being both height, I think it really enhances both the skate shop and the record store. And I love now next to the record store with the police building and the police station, and seeing that different height there. And I just love that view going down with the Daily Bugle in the distance as well. I think that looks cool. And having those kind of spaces in between the building does give it some breathing space. So if I do change the layout, at least I can have some layers in between as well. And if you're looking at it from the other angle, you can see the whole city and nothing is kind of blocking it as well. So I think it looks great now with the additional height. Having it onto a modular mill system, I think that's awesome. So I hope you enjoyed that. I mean, I love to modify my existing sets, especially from Lego, FunWhole, Fantasy, whoever. I think it really adds a lot of uniqueness to the city. And I hope this has inspired you to do the same for your buildings in your city. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace and love.